Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers, and joining me to talk about the Atlanta Falcons 2024 NFL Draft Needs, as always, the very talented writer for FirstRoundMock.com, Mr. William Yanish. How you doing this afternoon, sir?
Oh, I'm definitely doing all right.
Good, good. Glad to hear, man. Well, before we get into it, if you guys enjoyed this episode, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe on social media, Facebook and YouTube, the main two platforms. But you can also check us out on our podcast, available each and every single week, thanks to the fine folks at the Belief Podcast Network, hooking us up and having it in your earbuds each and every single week. Well, let's talk about these Falcons. My God, they've had a very just a lot has happened with this team in the last week or so with free agency, but we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about the draft needs here coming up in just over a month. Looking at this Falcons team, their draft picks they have: first round, 8 overall. Going in the second round, pick 43. Round 3, pick 74. And also in round 3, pick 79. Then going into round 4, pick 109, followed by pick 143, 187, and rounding it out, pick number 197 in round 6. So, William, let's just get into it, man. Let's talk about what more so draft needs in terms of just positions that these Falcons teams need. As we know now, they don't need a quarterback. They've got Kirk Cousins. You don't need to draft a quarterback per se.
Hmm.
I would say the running back room is pretty solid with Tyler Algier, with Bijan Robinson, Cordero Patterson potentially coming back for another year with that veteran. Wide receiving room, I mean, they literally just in the last 20 minutes before we started filming picked up Rondale Moore from the Arizona Cardinals. They've got obviously Drake London, Kyle Pitts. So let's just say, do you think the Falcons need to go offense heavy or defense heavy in this draft? And then we'll go break it down in the rounds.
That can definitely, you know, that's, I mean, one way or the other. With this team, it seems like their skill positions are good on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too crazy about some of their offense, and I mean Kirk Cousins really. I mean we were just talking about this last time, and I believe he's got what a 1-4 playoff record in his time. I mean he puts up, but that doesn't matter when it comes down to Sunday. I mean it doesn't. I mean we all know that. And
Right, right.
is this really what they need, or is he just kind of a quarterback to kind of go through as they rebuild the team, with the new regime coming in, and just everything that they're doing down there with the new regime. They need to establish leaders, establish a solid foundation for whatever direction they're aiming for
Mm-hmm.
going. They are on free agency losing, possibly a couple of receivers anyway. Their depth, everyone, Van Jefferson, Matt Collins, they just lost him to, uh, and you mentioned Cordell Patterson possibly coming back. But I mean, the defense could definitely use something. The running backs, I'm not crazy about Bijan. That's no secret. Tyler Algier, I mean, he was already a 1,000-yard back as a fifth-round pick before they picked him. So I mean, I would definitely say they're solid in the running back position. But I mean, so I would, be looking at somebody on defense. You have to make sure of who, um, you have as your leader on defense, and that is one thing that I think needs to be built here. You know, so other than that, the NFC South is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not going to take much to be able to get in the playoffs. And from
Right.
that point anyway. But still talking about draft needs, but that that's where it all starts. And like I said, just
Right.
a solid foundation, and you know, get somebody. You know, I definitely in the front seven. I mean, anything like that. I mean, they lost Jeff Okuda.
Yeah,
Um,
Jeff Okuda. I believe I forget where he went out to, but he got traded somewhere or signed somewhere else.
yeah, and then I know Campbell, but he's old, but I mean he's the leader. I mean I'm sure they might probably sign him to like 1 year deal, right at the end. I don't know. I had, most of my notes written down for quarterbacks, and then they go out and, get Kirk
then
Cousins.
they go and give Kirk Cousins the Brinks truck,
And I'm like, oh man,
But
what do we got going on here?
No, yeah, but I think if the Falcons do want to go offense, I mean, I think you can never have too strong an O line. There's always going to be some spots that you can fill in. I mean, typically someone's going to get hurt. It feels like on the O line, you gotta need to have a quality backup. I don't know if I would go necessarily round one with an O lineman, but maybe one of the later rounds, just get some more security out there. As you mentioned, they have a quarterback now, so you don't need to draft one per se. But I think that if the Falcons want to go offensive heavy and just kind of, just go crazy with points and scoring touchdowns, you could go wide receiver round one if you want. There's 1,000 wide receivers out there right now. You could easily pick one of them up. If you want to go defense, I definitely think the main thing they need to focus on, and if they don't draft this in round one, they definitely, I think, need to go round 2 and 3 potentially. You need to get some edge rush. You need to get some quarterback pressures. Well, the Falcons have not logged more than 30 sacks as a squad since 2018. It has been quite some time since this team has gotten to the quarterback as a unit. As you mentioned, Calais Campbell, and also, but Calais Campbell, he's a little bit older. He's going to be gone now. I think more than likely he has retired. But I think that overall the Falcons have some solid players. Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson was a really good surprise. Caden Ellis as well stepped up big as well for Atlanta last year. And I think you can always add some depth on the corners to help out with AJ Terrell. And that, of course, as we know, playing safety, Jesse Bates III, their big acquisition last free agency, who did tremendous work for Atlanta. So I think the main thing I want to see from the Falcons this year is I want to see some more pressure on the quarterbacks. I want, like you said, I think they're trending in that right direction. But for me, I would love if they got a linebacker or an edge rusher, someone that just kind of strikes fear into opposing offensive linemen's hearts. If you have any other players or any other position group that they need to fill in, please go ahead and let me know, sir, so we can get it rolled out and finish it up here.
Well, that's one thing, like you were talking about it in the trenches, and that's where it all starts. I mean, I can argue that all day. You can never have too many, and especially, even having depth, so you can get rotational guys in there, and run different schemes, on different passing downs and such. But I mean, that is one thing, getting really decent pass rusher anyhow you can. I mean, there's never too many of them on the team. So I definitely agree with your assessment on that. And between the cornerback has been the most popular draft position, secondary for a few years now, so that's becoming more and more since, changing the rules and everything else, every time they adjust the rules a little bit. But other than that, man, I mean, it seems like they have, a pretty solid base, like I was talking, and whether they can do something with it or not, that depends. Morris is kind of a retread, and but he's still a defensive guy, so I can definitely agree with the need for pass rushers. So
yeah, I think that overall, and also I want to retract my statement. They got 42 sacks as a team last year. Where I got that information was from the 2023 site. So, but you did mention though, Calais Campbell, their top guy last year, 6.5 sacks. He's seemingly going to be putting his cleats up and be gone. Bud Dupree, he was really good for them last year. But I like the thing about the Falcons, though, William, and we'll wrap things up here. If they have a young core, they don't have an older core. They had the veterans last year, as we've mentioned. But for the most part, it's a young team who have seen at least a season or so of snaps. The Kyle Pitts, the Drake Londons of the world on offense. On defense, you got guys like Arnold Ebiketie, Caden Ellis, Richie Grant. A lot of these guys that they have drafted or picked up from teams who let them go and who are very young. So the Falcons, it wouldn't shock me, William, if they packaged a couple of these picks and traded for future years or for players for now, because they have a lot of these spots filled already. Like I said, quarterback was the main one, but they fixed that the other day. So everyone had, all right, quarterback, Falcons getting someone. Not anymore. Now it's kind of wide open, and they have a lot of avenues they can go between. But I think what we're both in agreement on is you can never have enough stacked talent on the offensive line or on the defensive line. I think that you can also add a corner here and there just to help out the secondary. And I think with just the abundance of wide receivers you're going to have, you might as well pick one up because you can, like you mentioned, they did lose a few of their depth pieces. They have brought a couple of them in, but I do think that you could add that other kind of A+ tier receiver if you do want to go that route in the first round. But I don't know, man. It's exciting to see what these Falcons are going to do. They have a lot. They have a lot of draft picks they can use this year. Like I said, would not shock me one bit if on draft night we see that the Falcons have packaged their first and third round pick for a first rounder in 27 or for a player or something like that. Just because of how this team is structured right now. But I'm thinking overall, Falcons, you got a good nucleus. Just hope everyone can stay healthy and just keep adding, and we'll see what they can do in 2024. Well, as always, Mr. William Yanish, I appreciate you, man, coming on, dropping some knowledge, talking about these Atlanta Falcons is always a pleasure. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.